Yo! Some Yokohama mama gave me this. I got a 2-piece drive shaft I got to do U-joints and a carrier bearing on. I'm going to show you guys how to do this. This is balances and assembly, so you got to put everything back on the way you took it off. The 2 pieces. So I'm going to run a chalk pencil down this. That should be pretty good enough. Usually there's metal straps on here. This has got a zip tie on it though. Somebody's probably been in here before. I'm going to cut this zip tie off so I can get this slip yoke off. Well, this should just slide right out. And I can take this band off. People say these aren't reusable, but I can make it work if I feel like it. Just get a chisel and hammer and get this dust collar out of here. This should come with a new carrier bearing. There it goes. And these are super fun. A lot of times you got to cut these out. I'm going to try to get this ring off of here. Like so. Now if you don't have a press, you can cut these out with like a grinder. You just cut it at an angle, get this rubber off of here, rip it off, cut it at an angle, and then the inner race, you just give it a good whack so it cracks open and it pops off. But I got a press for this, so I'm not going to do it that way. I got to get this U-joint off before I can press this thing out. A lot of people use a ball joint press to do this. I don't like to. I like to just use a hammer and a vise or a couple of blocks, because when I pound on this, I'm going to be pushing everything up. And when you use any kind of press, sometimes you can squeeze these forks in, and if you squeeze them in, your U-joints aren't going to sit right. They're going to be too tight. So when you're always pounding on the yoke like this, you're not going to be forcing everything in, and your U-joints are going to fit a lot better, because you don't want them binding up at all. You want them nice and smooth feeling. But these have outer clips. Some have inner clips that are on the inside, and on some U-joints they have a plastic stuff that they inject inside the joint. And if you have those, you got to use a propane torch or MAP gas, and you got to torch this so it melts the plastic and it all comes oozing out the injection hole. And then you got to pound them out right away really quick. And then after you get that out, then you put inner clips on it. But these have outer clips on them, so they're really easy to deal with. I just use a side cutters. And if they're sticky, you can use a chisel and a hammer, and you can bust these loose a little. But thankfully, these are coming out real nice. Okay, now this is where the fun comes in. I just hit it right here. In fact, I'm going to use a lighter hammer so I don't get too carried away. They usually just come out real nice, just like that. I worked in a machine shop, and I had to do this all the time, and this is how I always did it at a machine shop. I never used a press. On the really small drive shafts for like little cars and stuff, you can have some real serious problems trying to use a press on these. You get them too tight in them little drive shafts for them little baby U-joints. They can break if they're too tight. See, I can feel this isn't smooth, so something's going on with them bearings in there. See, and you can tell these are good U-joints because they're black, they're hardened. So these are like super joints, and that's what you want to get for all of your U-joints. You don't want to get them cheap ones that are just silver looking and they're not hardened, because especially in a big truck like this, they don't last hardly at all. These don't look hardened really, but they are. They're a little bit dark, so they were tempered. So they're not real silvery looking. So these will be good joints. My U-joint wouldn't fit in here. Hopefully this will fit now. These Louises, what do I do? Sometimes these, some of these carriers, they have this collar in here. When you take this out, after you're done, you put this collar in, and this thing really locks them in. A lot of times you got to cut these out and they don't press out because of this collar. This collar locks it in really good. This doesn't have a lock ring in it. I got a regular piece from my ball joint press that fits over that really nice. I always save my old wheel bearings. This is how I'm going to do it. I don't know, sometimes you just got to be creative with this stuff if you're going to do it yourself. Put a bearing there, and a bearing there, and a bearing there. All the way bottomed out. Feels nice and new. And then if it requires a lock collar or a lock ring, then you put it on now. But this one doesn't have one. And this little dust cover here, that's got to go next. I got a piece of pipe I can try to pound on here. Now for the super joints. Sometimes the location of this grease zerk is very important. I don't think it matters much on this one. I'm going to take these out. If they're cheap and they don't have grease zerks in them, it's always a good idea to put a little bit of grease in this cap. You fill it like a quarter full and then stick it back in there, because that'll help, that'll pack the grease. Some of these just have regular like packing grease in them. It's not even real good stuff. It's more like Vaseline. So you always got to put grease in these after you do them. You can clean these up if you want. Try not to get any dirt in here. And I'm just going to put it in like this. Then hold it like this. Then put a cap on. You don't want any of these bearings to fall out, because if they fall out, then your caps won't go in all the way, and then you got to take it all apart. And I'm just going to turn it upside down like this and just gently tap on it. Push that cap through. There, it's nice and zeroed right now. And then I'll get a socket that's smaller than the cap. And I'll put that under it. I'll pound that through a whole bunch more. See, like so. So that way I can put this cap on and I don't have to worry about these bearings falling through. And I can actually take this U-joint and just pull it out just a little bit. That's actually sliding in way easy. And I want to break out my little clippy things and put a clip on it on this side. Be careful, wear safety glasses. These things like to go flying sometimes. You don't want one of them flying in your eye. And I can just pound this one through nice and easy like. And that groove should be showing really nice. There, that fell in. That's good. Yeah, you always want to put this grease zerk in last too. Don't put it in before you put the U-joints in, because a lot of times you end up busting it off. So now I can do the same thing with this shaft. Sometimes they got different clips too. Some are thinner than others. So if you find yourself having factory clips that are thinner and they're still good, you might want to use them. Once in a while I've had to grind them down just a little bit, just to make sure they fit good. I'm going to put a little chisel action on this just to make sure it's seated in there, because it's pretty tight. It fit though. And then you want to make sure this thing falls on its own. If it doesn't fall on its own, it's too tight. And a lot of times all you got to do is just wrap the ears with a hammer. And then it's nice and floppy now. I don't feel any binding, it's smooth. And that's what you want. And then just do the same to the rest of these. Put the little baby grease zerk in here. These are usually 8mm. I'll put a couple pumps in here. Fill it up real good. You don't need much. And you just got to do the same to the rest of these. Put my side cutters on this clip and it broke on me. I just run in here with a chisel and try to loosen it up a little bit. Try to get behind it. Try to get lucky. See if I loosened it up enough. Got everything together, and since this has got to go somewhere, I'm going to tape up these joints. You always want to tape these ends up, because if you don't, somebody's going to get pissed off at you for not doing it. Duct tape works the best, but I don't have any right now. I used it all on my last Ford. That should stay on there pretty fairly good. I want to splurge a bunch of grease in here on this slip yoke. Get this spline really good. Lube this spline really good. Put this boot on. Big Mongo heavy duty zip tie. Line the little groovies up. Then you got to look down the U-joint. Make sure it lines up with the other one nice and square. And it does. I'm going to reuse this non-reusable band clamp. That's it. I reused the non-reusable band clamp. And there it is. That's a whole job. Okay, bye.